When thinking of an open gun, a few brand names immediately spring to mind in the US market. Probably top of mind was the STI 2011 before they got all tactical and stopped selling proper open guns. A name that doesn't spring to mind but probably should is BUL Armory out of Israel. BUL specializes in the 1911 designs and offers double-stack 1911s that make limited and open divisions in USPSA more reachable. While the price tag doesn't completely break the bank, the quality that you receive is excellent. For a long time, BUL has been relevant in the international IPSC community, and they're looking at entering the US market. Today, we're going to be looking at the BUL Armory SAS 2 Ultimate Racer. I'm David from the Humble Marksman channel here on YouTube. Are you ready? Stand by. So on deck today, we've got the BUL Armory Ultimate Racer. Remember guys, the third rule of marketing, you gotta do it. BUL specializes in 1911 style pistols, including high capacity 1911s like you see here. The Ultimate Racer is the model they offer for USPSA Open division. And what that means is it has a compensator, it has a frame mounted red dot, it has a slide racker, a big old magwell, and a super light trigger, which are all very important qualities in an open gun. And if you want to learn more about open guns, I've done kind of a primer for what an open gun is that you can check out here. Now earlier when I said that it puts open and limited divisions more within reach, these are still expensive pistols and they are quality pistols, but rather than spending between $6,500 to $10,000 for an open gun, you can get into a BUL Armory Ultimate Racer for about $3,500, which is a lot of money, but these pistols do something that your off-the-shelf plastic pistol won't do, and that's eating super high pressure, high velocity rounds. So while your off-the-shelf plastic gun might be able to send 115 grain projectiles downrange at about 1,100 feet per second, this one will be capable of withstanding sending them downrange at 1,500 feet per second. And as I mentioned in my other video, shooting open is very much like heavy metal music. It's really loud, it's really fast, and it's not for everybody. So BUL offers 4 different open gun configurations. This is the full-size Ultimate Racer, which has a traditional dust cover length. They offer the URF in the US or the heavy metal overseas, which has a full-length dust cover, which would make the gun a little bit more muzzle heavy. And they also offer a 4¼ inch barrel variant called the Shorty, which is exactly what it sounds like. Same frame as this, but a 4¼ inch barrel. And for about $4,500, you can get the Ballesteros, which is their top-of-the-range model featuring a heavy steel grip, additional 2 popple holes before the compensator begins, and some different cuts all along the slide. Despite offering a few different trim models, you're really just getting different options for how the guns are set up. The quality is the same. The same gunsmith in Israel builds all of the open guns, so it's not like the Ballesteros is a nicer made gun. It just has different features that cost more dollars. Now, being a carry optic shooter messing with an open gun, the 40 ounces of the Ultimate Racer actually works pretty well for me. I'm not sure I would consider going up to the heavier weight variant because this gun swings really well and it feels like a real gun, like swinging around. It doesn't feel like that super heavy boat anchor 2011, and since it's got a gigantic compensator on the front, it's almost as soft shooting as a 22 if you do your homework on load development. The question a lot of people have, since it sells at a discount in the open gun market, is how is the fit and finish on the gun? And to use an analog for a more off-the-shelf variety of 1911 that you have probably experienced, like a Dan Wesson, I held this side by side with a Dan Wesson, and what I noticed is that the fitment is pretty much similar to a Dan Wesson. There's a little tiny bit of fore and aft wiggle on the slide to frame fit like a production 1911 typically has, and the trigger has a little bit of play in it side to side just like a production 1911 typically has. The quality of all the controls is excellent. It feels like a very well put together gun, and it is a very well put together gun. Now, in the box included are going to be 270mm magazines. In USPSA, we play with 171.25mm magazines. In IPSC, they play with 170mm magazines. Despite being a millimeter shorter, you can still get 28+1 rounds into this magazine, or 29+1 if you make questionable choices and eat gas station sushi. The case that comes with the gun is what you would want for a gun costing this much money. It's going to come with a few recoil springs to tune to your load, as well as the two 170mm magazines and a bunch of stickers. Now, I keep referring to this gun as a double stack 1911 and not a 2011 because there are some differences between them and it's worth discussing. So a 2011 is kind of the brand name like Kleenex for tissue of the pattern of pistol that STI patented back in the early 90s. A double stack 1911 predates the 2011 design and has been around since the mid 80s. So this particular double stack 1911 doesn't have interchangeable parts in some key areas that would share with a 2011, specifically the grips and how the grip mounts to the frame. The actual frame is just this piece of metal that the safety is on and the trigger goes into here, and the actual plastic grip kind of bolts onto it right here and right here. So that's a little bit different. And the magazine tubes that the Bul uses are different from 2011 magazines. The tube comes up vertically and then comes to sort of a steeper, less gradual slope towards the feed lips, whereas the slope on 2011 magazines are going to be more gradual, so you cannot interchange magazines with regular 2011 pistols. This is only a 126mm magazine from Bul, and as a result of these steeper shoulders on the bag body, you can actually fit 22 rounds in it as opposed to the 140mm, which you'll generally get 23, 24 if you're lucky. This will get 24 or 25 if I put the base pads on it. But all of the fire control group, the safeties, everything else is going to be similar to a traditional 1911 style pistol. So if you have a fire control kit that you're absolutely in love with and you want to use on this frame and slide, you certainly could do it. Before we get a whole lot further, just as far as the round count that I've put through the pistol is concerned, when I started this review, I only had about 1.5 pounds of powder suitable for loading 9 major. So I was only able to load about 1,500 rounds of 9 major at the time of recording this video. But because of the way Bul sets up the guns at the factory, the guns will cycle 9 minor with the way that they're set up. So that's been pretty cool. So as of filming this right now, I have about 1,000 rounds of 9 major on the gun and about 500 rounds of 9 minor. So despite the 9 major loads being about 300 feet per second faster than the 9 minor loads, the point of impact doesn't shift quite as bad as you would imagine, and the practice is still pretty good if you have to use minor loads. The grip is very much like a 1911 style grip in the hand. It doesn't feel quite as big and blocky as a proper 2011 does. It feels more like a 1911 with kind of an elongated oval sort of shape to it, which is very, very comfortable in my hands. The front strap checkering is super aggressive, which is what you want, as is the back strap checkering along the back. The side panels, they use like a diamond-like texture like you would see on 1911 grips. I still use Pro Grip when I'm shooting this gun, but the texture on the side panels is okay. It's pretty good. The grip comes with a big aluminum magwell on it. It's completely serviceable. I did not find myself wondering if somebody else's magwell would fit on this frame. They don't. But I didn't really care. The combination of these like high polish mags that Bul provides with the aluminum magwell is very slick. On other 2011s with steel and aluminum magwells that I've tried, there's a little bit of friction and binding even with MBX mags. That's not a problem at all with this. It's basically like throwing a, wait, I can't say that in polite company. It's like throwing a narrower object down a much wider object. That's what it's like. And since it has a short dust cover on the frame, it has a slight forward weight bias. I mean, look how much barrel is hanging out the front of the frame. And a lot of what that balance comes from is how they have relieved the slide. The slide cuts on this gun are kind of bananas. Bul has saved a lot of weight on this pistol by putting the window ports with the laser etched SAS2 up here through the ports, as well as reducing weight where the rear sight would traditionally go, milling in a slide racker as you see there. The slide racker is dovetailed in and has a set screw. You're going to want to Loctite that set screw, just like you're going to want to Loctite the mag catch. Just like everything, if it's a screw on an open gun, it's usually a good idea to Loctite it. In addition to the slide racker, it also comes with a thumb rest on the optic mount, and it's a kind of a gentle angle, sort of like something that would work really well with like an over the trigger guard style grip, but the thumb rest still works for my more like traditional 1911 style grip. Pop's Quest here on YouTube has a BUL Asteros, and he has an optic mount that has a more vertical style thumb rest. So if this were my gun, then I would certainly probably look into one of those. The optic mount comes with a RTS2 type footprint. This particular optic that's on the gun is a Nikko Sterling 6 MOA, which is like an RTS2. It's fine as an optic is concerned. It looks great when you're outdoors. When you're indoors dry firing, I'd prefer if it had dimmer settings, but it's not a big deal. The trigger on the BUL is absolutely bananas. If you've not shot a sub 2 pound 1911 style trigger, it's an absolute joy to shoot and it'll completely ruin you for all other guns. To give you an idea of how good the trigger is, I shot this next to a CZ Shadow 2 that was completely unworked on off the shelf, and the Shadow 2 trigger felt like poo-poo. That's not to say the Shadow 2 trigger is poo-poo out of the box, it's just that this is way nicer out of the box, but the price tag also reflects that. So if you've not shot a 1911 with a sub 2 pound trigger, you put your finger on the trigger, and just about the time that you've compressed the skin of your finger on the trigger face, you've hit a very crisp and firm wall. You build about 1.5 pounds of pressure, and then the gun goes off. The reset on the trigger, don't miss this, is itty bitty. Almost no movement and the trigger is reset. This trigger is the very definition of a good trigger. When I rate all of these pistols, I say, this is what a good trigger is supposed to be like, and I basically describe this trigger. Now, the break weight can be different depending on the application of the gun, but for the application of this gun, which is a competition gun, it's pretty much perfect. But to give you a better idea of what the trigger pull is like, I put it on the most objective measure for a triggerable, the Humble Marksman trigger rating system, where this rated a very respectable Ric Flair woo. Woo! 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 The rest of the controls on the pistol are similar quality to the trigger. You've got double alpha ambidextrous shielded safeties, and what that means is there's a little piece of vertical metal to keep your thumb knuckle from getting on the slide while it's reciprocating super fast. There is an enlarged mag catch, which is rotatable via the set screw. Loctite the set screw, guys. And the slide catch actually functions as a slide lock. You can actually lock the slide back if your magazine followers are set up. The 170mm magazines that the gun ships with do not have a follower that will engage the slide catch, as you can see, but the 126mm magazines that they sell for the gun will lock the slide back, which is a cool feature if you want that feature, but generally in an open gun, you don't want the slide to lock back. They sell follower kits for their magazines that will make these not lock the slide back. And if you're a left-handed shooter, the thumb rest probably isn't going to get in your way with the optic mount. It's just going to kind of hang out there and be useless. And since you're a left-handed shooter, you've probably shot 1911 style pistols before, and you're used to the shame that comes with being left-handed and not being able to actuate the controls on your side of the pistol. The shooting experience with an Ultimate Racer, I have prepared a short skit to convey it to you more accurately.
Well, that's weird. I don't remember this being here. Ugh, something feels different. Ah! Open gun, let's do this. Yeah.
So yeah, it's just like that. Shooting 9 Major in a practical shooting context is amazing, especially out of the Ultimate Racer. There's like 0 recoil, it's easier to shoot than a carry optics gun, you're absolutely hammering targets at whatever distance you find yourself at. It's just a whole lot of fun. The gun performs brilliantly, and I'm completely sold on open. I completely understand why people enjoy it. The aftermarket for the gun is actually better than you'd probably guess because it is a popular IPSC brand. All the other IPSC brands who make like mag pouches and holsters and stuff like that for the pistol make stuff for this. So So as far as holsters are concerned, I've personally tested both of the Ghost offerings for this pistol, as well as the Gugaribus. I'm told that CR Speed also makes options for it, and Double Alpha Academy as well. Bul supports the gun through their website, where you can, if you decide you want to upgrade to a stainless grip, they've got that for purchase on their website. This is a special edition of the gun that came with their modular trigger, which has a couple different trigger inserts to change the length of trigger pull, and that's available on the website as well. They sell a brass mag well directly as well, which would kind of make the gun balance a little bit better. And MBX Magazines also makes magazines for the Bul guns. Now, the Bul magazines are actually a really good deal. They sell direct from Bul at very reasonable prices. The 170mm is $70, which for a 170mm, to give you an idea, for other 170mm magazines, they sell for like $150 to $160. So $70 in comparison is a great deal. Content. And as you watch this content, you think about the pizza eating contest that you are holding that's coming up, and have decided to turn all of your pizzas into pizzas featuring my logo on them, so all of the gluttons who participate in your contest will know of the great work I do here on my channel. If you like content like this and you want to follow my progression as a developing open shooter and switching into a new division, check out my Patreon for 3 to 5 posts per week for just $1 a month. If you like Second Amendment stuff, then you might join Big Daddy Unlimited. It's a buyer's club for Second Amendment stuff. And if you made it this far, please consider hitting that like button. I certainly appreciate it. And without further ado, we continue. So I learned a lot by shooting this Ultimate Racer. I learned that I really like shooting open division. I think it's really fun and really cool. I totally understand the hashtag only shoot open now. And I'm completely on board with what Bul is doing here, which is delivering a very high value gun for a good price. I'm a big fan of value-oriented products, meaning that the quality that you receive is much higher than the price you have to pay. So while I learned a lot while shooting this gun, I was also left with one question, which is how do I get my hands on one of these? Because I've already signed up for all my majors this year as an open shooter and am planning to go to Open Nationals. So I'll have to figure that one out on my own. I appreciate Bul letting me check out their open gun. This has been a lot of fun. I really enjoy open division, and I really enjoyed the Ultimate Racer pistol. And YouTube thinks you're really going to enjoy this video here, but meanwhile, I'm linking you to my anatomy of an open gun video right here. I appreciate you guys, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care, guys.